From now on, I'm not American.
Capitalism is slavery with a few extra steps.
My white kid wants to dress up as a Native American for Halloween.
The kids are not all right. Hey everyone, I'm Brad Polumbo, and welcome back to my channel, and welcome back to my series, Brad vs. TikTok, where I take on the craziest left-wing ideas that are going viral on the Clock app. If you're new here, or if you're a repeat viewer, consider liking, commenting, subscribing, yada yada yada. Now, let's get into it. And up first, we've got a woke mom trying to ruin the fun of Halloween.
My white kid wants to dress up as a Native American for Halloween. What made you think of that? Yeah, you really love watching Pocahontas, don't you? And you love her pretty clothes. Did you know that Pocahontas was a real person? Except that wasn't her real name, and the true story was a lot more complicated than the movie. We can look it up together to learn more about her life and her culture. But basically, people and cultural groups like Native Americans that have less power are often treated badly, made fun of, or hurt in different ways. So when a person or a whole culture is reduced to just a costume that we can put on and take off without us really understanding the meaning behind it or the struggles those people have been through, it can feel hurtful to them. Like, when I was a kid, a popular costume was hobo, which was just sloppy clothes and pretending not to have a home. But we wouldn't do that now. We didn't mean anything bad by it, but it made light of a serious situation without us appreciating how difficult it really is for people who don't have a place to live. I know you just want to wear the costume because you love the movie. It's not your fault that history can be so complicated. But since we're not from an indigenous culture like Pocahontas, and we'd be wearing clothes like hers just for fun, we should choose a different costume. Maybe you could dress up as an explorer to honor her bravery, or you could pick a costume celebrating our culture.
Why are woke people such buzzkills? I mean, seriously, if your kid wants to dress up like a Native American, even though you're not Native American, just let her. Elizabeth Warren did that for decades, and it worked out great for her. I love this point at the end that she makes where she's like, well, we can't dress up as something that's not our culture or not our experience. You're also not an explorer, Susan. Your kid's not a firefighter or a basketball player either. That's kind of the point of a costume. And this idea that it's somehow harmful to marginalized or discriminated against communities because a kid somewhere wears a costume is so silly. No one's life is affected by a kid wearing a costume. Nothing about their circumstances or the discrimination they face every day or the resources they don't have access to, nothing is changed. Literally, most of them wouldn't even be bothered by it if you asked them about it. This is pure white woke savior complex. Costumes don't affect people's lives in this meaningful way that you're engaging in some act of social justice by stopping your kid from dressing up how they want to dress up on Halloween. I mean, back in high school, I dressed up as a taco one year for Halloween, and by 2023 standards, that's basically a racist, violent hate crime. But in reality, no one in the real world, including my friends who were Hispanic or Mexican, cared at all. No one was harmed by it. Because it's a costume. More fundamentally, I mean, while there is a degree of sensitivity that's needed, I mean, obviously you shouldn't be dressing your kid up in blackface or yellowface. You can be sensitive about how you approach these things. Cultures are meant to be shared. The toxic worldview that this woke mom espouses and is pushing on her kid, it reinforces these group boundaries and identities based on immutable characteristics that we really should want to fade in their meaningfulness and fade away into the background, but instead, she's bringing them to the forefront for her kid and telling that your skin pigment, little Miss Susan Jr., defines what you can wear and what cultures you have access to. That's kind of the opposite of the message we should be teaching young people if we actually want to live in a diverse and tolerant society in the true sense of those words. Anyway, I'm just so glad I'm not growing up now in 2023 because they really have sucked all the fun out of being a kid anymore. Up next, this TikToker no longer identifies as American.
From now on, I'm not American. I'm Palestinian. I'm Colombian. I'm Omani. I'm Japanese. I'm Ghanaian. I'm Qatari. I'm Emirati. I'm Saudi. I'm from any country in the world that stands up for what is right and stands up for humanity. America was founded on the ideal that every man is created equal. Until that's how they act, I'm not American.
I just lost brain cells watching this insane video. Did he just list Saudi Arabia and Qatar as countries that stand up for what is right and for human rights? You mean those countries where they push gay people off buildings or otherwise give them the death penalty and oppress women? Those countries? Look, you can totally have nuanced opinions about the Israel-Palestine conflict or sympathize with the plight of the Palestinian people. I totally get that. But spare me this virtue signaling bullshit unless you're ready to back up that TikTok talk. I mean, if you want to, you can renounce your US citizenship. That's a thing you can do. But I'm guessing this guy hasn't, because it's just more about virtue signaling to the world about how woke and tolerant or open-minded he is or something, while praising theocratic societies engaged in brutal bloody wars themselves. So yeah, dude, denounce your citizenship. And let's give... So yeah, dude, renounce your citizenship. Seriously, get out. Go. And let's give an extra visa or green card or whatever to a hardworking immigrant from India or anywhere else that wants to come to America because they love America, share our values, and they want to thrive and be successful here. Don't let the door hit you. Honestly, I'm so sick of this anti-America crap that's pushed on TikTok constantly. Because America is a deeply flawed country, but at least at heart we have a lot of the right values. Whereas the places these folks are idolizing, I don't want anything to do with their values. Up next, did you know fat equals beautiful? I'm sorry, but no, fat isn't beautiful. You might still be a beautiful person, inside and out, even though you are fat. But the fat part of you isn't beautiful. No one thinks it is, and you repeating that mantra over and over again does not make it true. Your fatness isn't beautiful. It is deadly. I want to read you guys a really sad comment that was left on this video. One man, he said, "I had a big, beautiful girl. Loved her to death, but she's no longer with us. I miss her." It's almost like obesity is deadly and killing Americans left and right. A 2023 study found that 1 in 6 deaths is related to obesity and that excessive weight boosts risk of death by at minimum 22% and at maximum 91%. Yet on TikTok, you constantly see this glorification of obesity, and it's honestly just really sad. You all might think you're spreading positivity or tolerance, but all you're really doing is perpetuating a woke death cult. Up next, did you know capitalism is basically slavery?
Capitalism is slavery with a few extra steps. Bro, that's insane. I cannot believe you're comparing capitalism to slavery. Well, think it through. In slavery, slaves did not own their work. The surplus value that they created belonged to their owners, who decided what to do with it. In exchange, slaves were given food and housing, just barely enough to keep them alive and showing up the next day. Slaves were told what to do, where to be, how to act, what to wear, when they could eat, and when to use the bathroom. Okay. Likewise, in capitalism, employees do not own their work. The surplus value they create all goes to their owners, who decide what to do with it. In exchange, workers are given a meager wage, which affords them the basket of commodities that they need to survive and reproduce themselves to the workplace the next day. Workers are told what to do, where to be, how to act, what to wear, when they can eat, and when they can use the bathroom. The difference between capitalism and slavery is that workers are rented, not owned. But the difference between being rented and owned is nothing more than a legal...
This stuff almost has me lost for words, honestly. I just don't understand how people on the right can get canceled and lose their jobs over old dumb tweets, yet people on the far left can constantly say the most out-of-pocket, outrageous, offensive shit and just totally get away with it. You don't have to love capitalism. I mean, I do, but you don't have to. Yet the idea that working for a wage is somehow akin to slavery is so offensive to actual people who experienced slavery and still do in parts of the world today and their descendants. They had no freedom. They were worked to the point of near death, and they could be beaten or sexually abused by their masters at any time. That's not quite the same thing as your 9 to 5, Kevin. I mean, you're literally allowed to choose what you want to do in life, whether you want to be a teacher or a cop, work at an Amazon warehouse or a Starbucks or a McDonald's or a grocery store or a men's clothing store. You could literally do so many different things. Newsflash, babe. They didn't take a poll at the plantation to see what jobs people wanted. And you can literally leave your job and quit and go to another one at any time if the conditions aren't good or if you're able to get more pay somewhere else. And you do own your labor in capitalism because you choose who to sell it to and for how much you're willing to exchange it for. Also, you're protected by mountains of regulations these days, and you can always get government benefits for unemployment if you are laid off. Oh, and meanwhile, capitalism has produced so much wealth and prosperity and innovation that even many of the poorest workers today walk around with literal supercomputers in their pockets, like the one you made that video on. But yeah, that's basically the same thing as slavery. What? Up next, this TikToker wants to go to jail?
I'm just saying, threatening millennials and Gen Z with bringing back the draft, and then threatening to throw us in jail if we dodge the draft, is not the deterrent I think our government believes that it is. Literally all of us are struggling to survive every single day. Most of us can't afford rent, most of us can't afford groceries, pretty much all of us can't afford gas. We're all thousands of dollars in debt from getting an education that you told us to get. And now you're telling me, if I choose not to go to war, you're going to put me somewhere with free rent and food for the next 5 years? First off, 5 years isn't even that long for something like this. You're telling me I can get 5 years of free rent and all I have to do is not go to war. I'm really curious how they think it's all playing out. Like, somebody literally had a video and they were like, dodging the draft is a federal crime. You'll go to prison. He got a very different reaction than I think he thought he was going to get. Good luck, is really all I have to say at this point. I don't think it's going to go how they think it is.
These people, they're just trolling me, right? Like, they're posting this shit because they know I'll react to it and I'll lose brain cells. They couldn't actually believe this. Could they? First off, there's not going to be a draft. TikTok is freaking out about, oh my God, what if we get drafted? There is not going to be a draft. But God forbid, if we ever did need Gen Z to rise up and defend this country, to defend America, we'd be doomed. That'd be it. Bring the curtain down on America, folks. That's not going to happen anytime soon. So don't worry yourself about that too much. What I want to focus on is this bizarre point that modern life for Gen Z and millennials is somehow worse than being in prison. Like, that's such an unhinged and out-of-pocket thing to say that I honestly don't even really know how to respond. But like, even your studio apartment and the food you can get on food stamps, for goodness sake, is still a lot better than sharing a jail cell and eating prison food. This comparison is also so insensitive to the actual kind of horrifying prison conditions that people often face in our prison system, especially men who are victimized by basically rampant and largely unaddressed and unprevented sexual abuse in our prison system, and they're just left to deal with that trauma over and over again and cope. But yeah, I'm sure that working at Starbucks, because you chose to get some dumb, worthless degree, is basically worse than being a prisoner. You know they don't actually believe this bullshit, or they'd actually go and do it. Like, go ahead, go break some laws, get yourself sent to jail if you really believe it's better than modern life, but you won't. Because you're just posting ridiculous crap on the internet for clout, and you don't care if you're misinforming millions of young people out there while you do it. All right, guys, that's about all the TikTok I can handle in one setting without incurring permanent brain damage that I won't be able to recover from. So thank you so much for joining me in this excruciating torture. If you appreciate my suffering for the cause, consider hitting a like, subscribing, commenting, yada, yada, yada. And with that, I'll see you all in the next video.